these things are never really straightforward, I don't think. They're different for different people. And we had a lot of reasons to have to move in the first place. The place we were renting was being sold, and it was sold very quickly. So we knew it was being sold, so we thought, what we're going to do? I was okay for retirement at that. My age was okay for retirement. Michelle's a lot younger than me, so she could have still carried on working, but at the time, she was not working because she'd been working in the NHS and a patient had basically damaged her back badly, and she's just recovering from that. So we were deciding what to do. And renting another place in England's not easy. So I said, well, look, you've always wanted to live abroad in a warmer climate. Let's look into that. So of course we looked at all the usual suspects in Europe, and we were looking at Spain, and I said, look, no, Spain's definitely out. And I said, anyway, look at it, it's like a desert. I don't want to live in a desert. So Michelle said, well, let's try Portugal, it's a bit greener. So we looked at Portugal, and we decided straight away, Michelle's not that bothered about the coast. I like the coast, but she's not particularly. So she didn't want to live near the coast. And we definitely didn't want to live in the Algarve, because it's basically Little Britain. So we thought, no, let's look inland and look in the interior. We wanted a rural area. We didn't want to live in a city or a town even. We wanted, to live in the countryside. So that's why we ended up looking, well, from round about, not as far west as Coimbra, round about Pedra Grande we started, or near Goish we started, and then we had several places shortlisted when we came over here, and because at that point we were really under pressure, we came over and we ended up coming over to Castellabranco. And I must admit, I'll take my hat off to Paolo and Maria at Remax in Castellabranco. Instead of just saying, here's some houses to go and look at, they sat us down for quite a while and said, look, what do you want exactly? Why are you moving here? What do you really want? And that's when they pulled out some other things that we hadn't seen, which included this place. And so that's how we ended up moving here. It is very bureaucratic. There's a lot of bureaucracy, but it provides a lot of work for people, obviously, I think. I think quite a large proportion of the Portuguese population here works for some government department or other.
We wanted to be rural as well. We didn't want to go by the beach, so it was something different. We did start looking around the Pedra Grande area, where we found that this area was a little bit cheaper, and you could get, compared to England, you can get a lot more living space for your money. And obviously the climate, the clean air, and all that kind of, we just wanted to be out of town, because I've been a town person all of my life. So I lived in Coventry since I was about 8 years old. We came to Portugal for a holiday, went to Albufeira, and we did a bit of touring, went inland a little, and we were surprised how green it was, how lush and the air was, and the oranges, and we seen all that sort of stuff. So it was kind of that sort of thing. We wanted to come, and it was akin to what we were looking for. We didn't want to be in a street, because we were trying to get away from that. So that's why we ended up looking like this area in Portugal. So mainly it was coming on a holiday and seeing Portugal, and then going to Spain, and it's almost British-like whenever you go to Spain. So just wanted something a little bit different. The only thing we found with Portugal is it's very paperwork driven. Every time you go somewhere, you've got to have documents for this, documents for that, and so that's the main thing. Our expectations aren't for Portugal to be any different than it is today, because this is what we come to. The one thing I don't understand is how come electricity is so expensive over here when you've got the sun and solar and wind and that side. So that's one thing I'd look at. We've just bought some solar panels down to make the electricity a little bit cheaper.
That was in beginning of 2015, and we wanted to change our life completely. Yeah, so you are taught to have a job and have a nice income and buy a car and everything, and all those things bring you happiness. But once we had everything, we found out that there must be more that brings you happiness. So let's change our lives completely. And so we sold the house and gave up our jobs and bought a little piece in Portugal. And we went, yeah. We have been to Greece first. We wanted to go to Greece first, to the island of Zakynthos, because we like that a lot. But Greece is a bit corrupt, so we didn't want that. And France was too expensive, and Spain was too dry. And we did never think about Portugal. And then we were thinking, what should we do? Maybe Albania or Hungary or whatever. Like Portugal didn't exist. And then I was looking for off-grid living and self-sufficient living. And there was a farm in Portugal, a quinta, and that did the same. And I sent them a message. I said, yeah, let's go to Portugal. Yeah. So and that's why we went to Portugal. Yeah. Portugal could emphasize more the way of living like we do in the country and everything, because not a lot of people have enough money to buy a house in the Algarve or at the coast or something, but Portugal has so much more opportunities which hardly anybody knows of. And I think that's it's a market in Europe. When we came here, it was very easy. We could get a post box, and nobody ever lived here before, but we could get a post box, and once you have an address, you can start arranging things like the taxes, the finances and everything, and we did that. And we had no problems at all. The only problem we have and still have is medical security. That's very difficult. Yeah, there are European rules, and there is this European form that you have to fill in and everything, but it seems that we do not apply for that form, and I don't know exactly why. It's the income that we have from Holland. They say it's not a legal income. It's illegal. It's not legal income, and that's why we can't get like Segurança Social or something in Portugal.